You can be perfect at something and still be asleep inside it. Right now, somewhere, a pair of hands is doing a job exactly right, the same way as yesterday and the year before that, while the person attached to them feels nothing at all. 400 years ago, below a cold mountain in the north, another pair of hands lifted a tree of small silver bells and shook it perfectly. The sound was beautiful. The girl holding it heard nothing. Her name was Suzu. She had never once made a mistake. That was the problem. Suzu had shaken those bells since she was 6. She knew the dance the way she knew the path to the water barrel. Her feet went, and she did not have to go with them. The old women said she was the finest dancer the shrine had ever raised, and Suzu bowed when they said it. Then she would go behind the hall, press her back against the cold wood, and wait for something to arrive in her chest. Nothing ever did. She was sure that meant something was broken in her, and she told no one. The shrine was poor that year. Rain came through the roof in 3 places, and the priest counted the offering box twice each evening, as if the second count might be kinder. So they sent their best dancer to the capital to ask for help. Suzu wrapped her bells in cloth, walked 6 days south, and arrived in the city with dust in her sleeves. The capital was loud. Carts, hammering, 100 voices selling 100 things. There was a temple on every second street, and a holy person at every gate, all asking for the same coins. Suzu found a patch of hard earth near a bridge, smoothed her sleeves, and danced exactly as she had been taught. Slow, correct. Her eyes lowered. People walked past her, not unkindly. They had somewhere to be, and she was one more beautiful thing in a city already full of beautiful things. On the 4th day, a man dropped a coin in her bowl, without slowing down, and she understood that he had not seen her at all. That night, she counted everything she had earned. It would not buy 1 board of new roof. She went down to the Kamo River because it was the only quiet place left. The water had pulled back for the summer and left a wide floor of pale, dry stones, warm through her bare feet. Children were skipping pebbles. A woman sold cold water out of a bucket. An old man slept sitting up with his mouth open. Nobody down there was being holy. Suzu sat on a rock and stopped holding her shoulders straight. A small girl came and stood in front of her, staring at the bells. Suzu shook them once. The girl waited, clearly expecting more. So Suzu stood up, and instead of the dance, she did something else. That morning, she had seen a young man cross the bridge with his sword tilted and his collar open, so pleased with himself that he seemed to be performing for the whole street. Suzu put her hands on her hips. She tilted an invisible sword. She walked the hot stones exactly like him. The girl laughed so hard, she sat down. Her mother laughed. The water seller laughed. 3 men arguing about a boat stopped arguing to watch. And Suzu stood in the middle of a dry river with her heart going like a drum and felt, at last, the thing she had waited 11 years to feel. She came back the next day on purpose. She wore a man's short coat over her red shrine skirt, which was wrong in every way a person could name, and she carried the sacred bells anyway. She played the proud young man. She played a woman waiting at a tea house for someone who was not coming. And then she played that same woman deciding to stop waiting. Underneath all of it, she kept the old steps, the slow turn, the lifted heel, and poured new people into them. By the 5th day, the riverbed was full. A flute player she had never met picked up her rhythm. Someone brought a drum. Coins came down on the stones like rain on a roof. And Suzu, who had never made a mistake in her life, was making them constantly, loudly, and in front of everyone. Word travels upriver faster than a person can walk. On the 9th day, Suzu looked up in the middle of a turn and saw a small, dry woman at the edge of the crowd with her hands folded. Grandmother Issei, who had put the bells in her hands at 6 years old and who had never, in Suzu's memory, raised her voice or her eyebrows. The crowd went on shouting. Suzu stopped dancing. They sat together on the warm stones. Grandmother Issei said the priest had sent her, that the words being used at home were not proper and not our way, and that Suzu could walk back with her tonight and nothing more would ever be said. Suzu looked at the cloth bag beside her, heavy with 9 days of coins, enough for the roof, the gate, and the winter rice. She looked at the flute player waiting politely 20 steps away. I was perfect at home, she said. I was perfect for 11 years, and I never once knew what I was doing. Grandmother, I am terrible at this. I have never been so awake in my life. Grandmother Issei was quiet for a while. Then she said she would like to see it. Not the old dance, the new one. So Suzu got up on the hot, pale stones and played a small, dry woman with folded hands, walking 6 days upriver to scold a girl she loved. She got the walk exactly right. Grandmother Issei laughed until she had to hold her own ribs. You must have permission to do this dance, she said, unless it is ours. With a fine smile on her face, she turned her back on Suzu and walked out of the temple, almost as if she were floating. The crowd, who had no idea what they were watching, laughed with her. The roof was mended before the first snow. And all that summer, when the light turned gold on the Kamo, people came down onto the dry stones to see who the shrine girl would be today. Zen teaches something called Shoshin, beginner's mind. The expert's mind holds only a few possibilities. The beginner's mind holds many. We hear that and assume it is about learning a new skill. It is not. It is about being willing to be bad at something in front of people who once admired you. If Suzu had stayed perfect, she would have been praised for another 40 years, and that riverbed would have stayed empty. Skill is not the same as being alive. Sometimes the only door out of a life you have mastered is the one marked beginner. Go back to the beginning. A pair of hands doing a job exactly right, the same way as yesterday, and the person attached to them feeling nothing at all. Now put those same hands on hot, pale stones in a dry river, doing something clumsy and new and completely wrong in front of everyone who was watching. Same hands, same person, a different life. So carry this with you today. What are you perfect at that you stopped feeling a long time ago? Keep seeking, keep growing, and keep shining. Subscribe to join us for the next one.